Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nyx at Night. I'm your host, Beatrice Nyx. I know that this is going to be a late upload. Like, it's just like a couple hours late or like a day late, depending on when I get this up there. But Speak Now, Taylor's version came out last night at midnight. So I was a bit preoccupied in preparing for that. So I wanted to delay it by like a day. So when you're hearing this, it might be a Friday afternoon-ish, or, you're not hearing this the day I uploaded, so it's sometime in your time frame. So hello from the past. But for today's episode, I wanted to talk about friendship in your 20s, and maybe it applies to your 30s or whatever. I am not in my 30s yet, so this is all just based on what I've experienced. And I don't know about you guys, but after high school, it's definitely like a weird thing to navigate, because like when you're in school, you're seeing the same people practically every day, and you form this kind of like friendship around that, essentially, maybe like a trauma bond. And if you remained friends outside of high school, like better power to you, I guess. Like I did have a big friend group in high school, and which, looking back, I'm not friends with them anymore. There was stuff that happened that I won't really air out on here. It's honestly no one's business. And but I don't regret the friendships that I had, but I also wouldn't want to be friends with them again. It just has too many things that are tied to that. But like I've changed from the person I was then to the person I am now. And within that change, the friendships that I have maintained from high school definitely work. But they are work. Not in a bad way at all, but it's a different dynamic than what it was for us in high school. We've gone through college and we're navigating our own lives as adults. And in doing so, we don't have much time for each other. And there are instances where I definitely feel lonely. And so I've been thinking about making friends in your 20s and how much harder it is when you were in high school or even when you were younger. And like, if you do choose to go the typical college route, which I will say time and time again, please do not feel like you have to go to college because everyone else is doing it. But if you do go that route, 9 times out of 10, your first friend will be like your roommate or the first person you meet in class, because you're both new and basically know nothing. And that's how I met one of my very best friends, Risha, who I mentioned last episode. And the other way is through the job that you work at. For me, I made some of my friends through this burger joint that I worked at, which, again, Risha got me the job there. And it was definitely like how I've mentioned before in terms of school, like a trauma bond sort of thing. We had asshole customers who we would all laugh about and talk shit about later. There were times with that we would attempt to like hang out outside of work or after work, but because of everyone's schedule, nothing ever really worked out. So the only time we could hang out was actually like at work, which I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant, but like you don't really have time, like the downtime to like hang out, like maybe like 10 minutes here and there, but there's always like someone that needs something, which, yeah, you're at your job, you have to do your job. But, I feel like it's hard to maintain that work friendship because, when that person leaves and moves on to their next job, you like almost never hear from them. The only reason I'm close with some of my friends from the place I worked at now is because we were already friends kind of going into that. And so everyone is still connected one way or another. But for the most part, like I've had other jobs where we had such a great time working together and I haven't heard from them in years. They haven't heard from me. And that's just kind of how it is. But like at the core of friendships, you got to do the work if you want to maintain it. And I am so self-aware of like everything. There are times when I'm like, I'm the only person putting in the work, but they also have stuff going on, so I can't be mad, and I hope they're not mad at me for not doing much. Or I'm aware that I'm not doing enough work to maintain the friendship or relationship with that person. But I am so mentally drained, and I hope they don't know it's on purpose. And like, I'm very grateful that I do have friends where so much time can go by, but the second we're together, it's like no time has passed. It was like right where we left off. And it feels extremely validating for me because, like I mentioned before, I am always in my head about where I stand with people, like friendship, family, relationship, whatever. Um, and I love the fact that the friends that I do have and they validate my feelings, it's it eases things for me. I mean, I don't know if you've caught on by now, but I have a lot of anxiety. But then, I do have the friends where I'm like, I have no idea where I am in your life anymore. And it sucks because I want us to be what we were, but I also have to realize we're not the same people we were a couple years ago, and we've changed and we've grown and we're doing different things. And as much as it sucks, sometimes you truly do need to let it run its course. And if it ends, it ends. And I think that's why so many friendships from like high school to adulthood end, because we literally are just figuring things out. And as we're doing that, we have to do some shedding. And obviously, you got to communicate too. In friendships, I, for one, am very aware that I am not the best at communicating. It's something that I've always tried to work on, and I'm slowly getting better at it. But I think like people talk about how much breakups are painful, and I will admit, for me, I've only been in one truly committed relationship my entire life. It's the current relationship I'm in now. Like I've kind of dated, but it's never really gone anywhere. And so whenever it ended, no one was butthurt because it was like nothing. But I feel like when a good friendship ends, it's so painful because, I mean, I guess like a relationship, you have all these memories tied to them and like all these instances that you went through together. And so when it ends, especially if it ends badly, it's like I don't want to see or talk to this person, and it hurts me that they're going off with other people where I thought I was, I was a special person in their life. I was their friend or I was their best friend. Like for the friendships I've had that ended, and that unfortunately ended badly, I did have to block them from my life. Not because I like hated them or anything, but it was mainly because it just hurt so much and I just couldn't see them happy. I mean, they could be fine now, and I know I wasn't the best person. But it's just as painful as a relationship breakup, I would think. Again, take that with a grain of salt. I've only been in one committed relationship my entire life. So, but anyway, I've slowly been working on making new friends, which is a very, very scary thing for me. I'm extremely socially awkward. And like I mentioned before, my anxiety always gets the best of me. I don't know if you can hear it when I talk. Sometimes I like talk over myself to the point where I'm out of breath. But I did start using this app, which is called Wink, to start talking to people and making new friends. Which, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like an app like Tinder, but it's supposed to be for making friends. Although there are some people on it who are looking for something more, but for me, I would just like to try and make friends. And so far, it's going. I've had like a few decent conversations, but I don't know them and they don't know me, so it's always in this like kind of awkward stage of just like, what's your favorite color? Oh my gosh, what's your favorite music genre? And it's not like deep conversations. And I know it takes time to get there, but it's all very like surface level right now. And then don't get me started on like social settings, like going to bars and stuff. I mean, you can get a few drinks in me and I'll loosen up and I'll be fun. I like to think that I am already a fun person, but I get a couple drinks and I'm not constantly thinking about what everyone is thinking about me. But I also don't want to rely on alcohol to make me social. I had an instance where I was at a party and I was one of the first ones there and I was so fucking anxious. But I wanted to seem cool and chill, so naturally I drank to not feel the anxiety. And eventually the people that I knew and were comfortable with came, but by that time the damage was done and I was gone. Looking back, it was kind of funny, but I do not talk to any of the people that are at the party today. So clearly drinking did not help. I will say, though, the only bar that I am comfortable going to would be this place that is pretty far from my apartment, but it has like cool arcade games and pinball machines. So if I am feeling anxious, playing the games kind of lightens me up and can kind of be a conversation starter. But like your typical regular bar, I just don't get it because I get there and I'm like, I could do this at home for cheaper. And I know the point of going to the bar, though, is to meet new people. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want anyone to talk to me. I don't know you. And also, as a woman, you don't know what these people are going to do to you. Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. And even if you do make friends from these scenarios, or just maintain the friendships that you already have, and like I've mentioned before, you're stuck with trying to work with each other's schedules, and then it ends up being like you only meet once a year. And I am grateful that my friends don't have any kids yet, because I know that would make it harder. And that's not a dig at people who do have kids. Like, you're doing great. But I know it's a lot of your time that goes into their needs, as it should be as a parent. But I've seen a lot of posts on social media where people are like, if you're not checking in on me, then we're not friends anymore. Or like something along the lines of that. And I think that's such bullshit because that same person who's posting that could also be the one not checking in on their friends. I don't think we should be so quick to judge others and end friendships when no one has done anything inherently bad other than not checking in. Like, obviously, as their friend, if you know that they are going through something traumatic and you're not checking in, then yeah, you're kind of an asshole for that. But if, like, friend A does not tell friend B what is happening and friend B thinks everything is fine, but friend A gets pissed that friend B doesn't know, like, see how dumb that sounds? Like, you can't put the blame on the other person if they genuinely don't know. I think we all need to be just not selfish when it comes to a lot of things, but like for friendships. We all have stuff going on, but if you do the work and you communicate and you put in the time, then you can maintain the friendships. As for making new ones, that's super hard, but you gotta try. And I'm also saying it for myself. If I want to make friends, I gotta try. For me, I'm best in one-on-one situations because I feel us spending that quality time together. And as someone who has felt left out, whether it was with a family or friend groups, I just overall prefer one-on-ones. And, whenever my friends come together for like a birthday I throw for myself or something, it's definitely like an interesting bunch. I don't have a huge friend group, but for what I have, I think they're good quality. Not to bring up the show Friends again, but I always thought that my friend group would be kind of close like that. Like, in seeing each other all the time and being close, and while we are close, we don't live in the same apartment complex, and even though we all live in the same city, it's different parts of the city, so there's not like a main coffee shop that we can get to that's like equal distance for all of us. Not to mention our schedules, like that makes it harder. So as much as I would love my friends to hang out in each other's apartments all the time, it's also super unrealistic for that to happen given everyone's schedules. But also, even if someone has free time in their schedule, that doesn't necessarily mean that free time is given to you, because they might need that time to recharge. They might have a crazy work week and they're like, I need to not do anything for these next 2 days. And that's valid. I do the same thing where I need to recharge. I know for me, I've gotten to the habit of, my hours are very, very odd. I have like the typical 9 to 5, but then I do a lot of freelance stuff. So I'm like working until like 3-4 a.m. in the morning editing after coming home from like my 9 to 5 job. So I need those weekends to like sleep. So that kind of also goes into the fact that having free time is hard. and you can spread yourself really thin. But you shouldn't be mad at your friends for being like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't go out because I'm just tired. Like, they set up their boundary, respect it. So that's it for today's episode, or tonight's episode, depending when I put this up for you guys. I hope you were able to get something out of this, whether you learned something or you liked some advice I gave or got some clarity, or I don't know. If you like what I have to say, I hope you follow and stick around for more future episodes. I also have a YouTube channel where I have my 2 songs on there. I know I say that every podcast, but the new video is actually coming out really, really soon. So I think I might do a double upload for that, just to have some more content for you guys. But yeah, follow me on there if you'd like. You can also follow me on all the social medias. On everything, I am at the Beatrice Nyx, the as in the, Beatrice Nyx as you would spell Beatrice Nyx. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode, or today's episode. So I will see you next time on Nyx at Night. Have a good night or day, wherever you are.